Design, comparisons, display, 90-watt charging, sound, software, gaming, benchmarks, and finally cameras. This is my unboxing and extremely detailed review of the Lenovo Legion Pro gaming smartphone. It is littered with specifications, but do those specs on paper actually come out in reality? Listen to this unboxing. After we get past that little sound effect, it says on this box, stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. We find a little USB Type-C to 3.5mm jack. We also find a hard shell case in the box, which looks really interesting. And we get a 5 ampere Type-C to Type-C cable. In the box, we get a 45-watt charging block. The highest end variant of the phone comes with a 90-watt block, but the base variant that I have here can still charge at 90 watts if you have the 90-watt block. But I have two 45-watt blocks, the one that came in the box and a Samsung, which has the same volts and amperes as the Lenovo one, so we'll test that out in a bit. After unwrapping this stunning device, you can see it is all about class. I must say the first thing that pops into my head is different. It even has text saying stylish outside, savage inside, and there is a lot going on the back of this phone, but I kind of like it. We have this hard shell case over here, and it is literally the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way you put it on. It adds some extra grip to the phone, I guess you would say. It's not the worst cover I've seen though, it makes it look a bit funky. We have a whole bunch of different RGBs on the back here, which I'll show you guys in a second, and the sides of the phone almost have like a rough feel to them. It feels really good in the hand. Of course, we have these RGBs, as I was saying. You can go into the settings and you can change the top Legion logo over there, which looks really cool, but it's stuck to red. With the lighting effect of the Legion logo in the center of the phone, you can change the colors, but there are only 6 different colors and not many options. Of course, most gaming smartphones these days also come paired with RGB LED lights, so I guess it kind of comes down to your preference. We have a power button on top of the pop-up selfie camera. I'm not sure how that's going to last over the long run. We also have touch triggers at the top though, no indentation, which kind of sucks. I prefer that on the Red Magic 5G or 5S respectively. When you put your cover on, the touch triggers are too far away in order for it to actually help you when gaming. Little Lenovo logo on the side, a non-split volume rocker, and we have a USB Type-C port on the left-hand side of the device. This is limited to USB 1.0 speeds. The same it can be said with the bottom port as well, though at least it is centered, unlike the Asus ROG 3, which is a bit pushed to the side. We have a dual SIM tray inside the phone itself, but we are unfortunately lacking a micro SD card slot. We have an aluminum frame and a glass front and back with water repellent coating. Very interesting. We also get dual front-facing stereo speakers with large acoustic chambers, so Lenovo has said. And we have some strange corners on this phone. I guess if you compare it to others, they're a lot more rounded. It's pretty similar in size to other gaming smartphones, and it's quite heavy. Actually, not quite as heavy as the ROG Phone 3 and Black Shark 3 Pro, though it is a little bit heavier than the Red Magic 5G, and unfortunately it lacks a headphone jack, where the Black Shark and the Red Magic both retain that. When you have them flat on a surface, the Legion Pro pretty much has no wobble on a flat surface whatsoever compared to the other gaming smartphones. It gets a little bit bad, especially with the Black Shark. The Lenovo is tuning up to be a great gaming device, but what about the display? Well, we have a 19.5:9 aspect ratio, 6.65 inches AMOLED with 16 million colors. Unfortunately, it's stuck to Full HD Plus resolution. It seems brighter than most other gaming phones. HDR10 Plus, 144 Hz refresh rate panel, and 240 Hz touch sampling rate. Many other gaming phones have 270 Hz touch sampling rate, so that kind of sucks. And comparing it to the other gaming phones over here, it has a pretty decent sized screen, and I must say the colors really do pop on the Lenovo as compared to the others. And I don't know the nits. I've done a lot of research on it, but I can't quite find it out, though it does seem brighter than the other phones. But the main selling point here is that 144 Hz display. You can only change between 60, 90, and 144, so there's no 120 Hz option. And comparing the 3 side by side, you can see how many more frames that you can actually see in slow motion with the 144 Hz display as opposed to the 60 or even the 90. Going into a scrolling screen over here, you can see a lot more frames once again on the 144 Hz, but guys, you honestly just have to go into a store and feel how smooth this phone actually feels. We have 344 Hz displays on the left, 90 Hz is limited on the Black Shark 3 Pro on the right, and you can see the 144 Hz look absolutely amazing. But compared to 120 Hz, such as you would see on the OnePlus 8 Pro, it's much of a muchness. You won't really notice much of a difference. We have a couple other settings when it comes to the display, though the variety is kind of lacking. Though we do have have a brightness enhancement, which makes it even brighter outdoors, which is great. We also have dark mode, which you usually see on AMOLED panels, and it is very black, unlike a lot of phones which undershoot it and go for more of a gray. And we of course have an always on display, which is extremely bright, really awesome. But guys, we need to charge up this 5000 milliamp hour battery phone in order to use all of these wonderful features and get to see that incredible display. So we have a 45 watt block in the base version's box, but we have the same volt to milliamps on the Samsung block that I have, which is also 45 watts. So we're going to plug the Samsung one on the left side, and we're going to plug the Lenovo one at the bottom. 45 plus 45 equals 90. As you can see, when I plug in the second charger, it goes into dual turbo charging over there. So I'm going to do just a very quick test here. It should be quick since it is 90 watts. I have some results of previous phones at the bottom over there, being the Black Shark 3 Pro with 65 watts and the Realme X2 Pro, which has currently been the king on my channel. 39% after 10 minutes, 55% after 15 minutes is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to go to that 20-minute mark now and see how much we can charge our phone. 70% in 20 minutes, guys. You literally have to take a shower and your phone is pretty much fully charged. 84% in 25 minutes is absolutely ridiculous. Now, Lenovo did state on their website that it can reach full charge in just 30 minutes, but we're sitting at 94% after 30 minutes, which is pretty close to what they stated. So I guess you don't really need to splurge for their 90 watt block. You just need to get two 45 watt blocks with the same ampere and voltage reading. 100% in 35 minutes is great. With the Realme X2 Pro with a 50 watt block and a small 4000 milliamp hour battery, did it in 27 minutes. So it's still not the fastest, even though it has almost double the size of its charging block, but a much bigger battery at that, with 142 milliamp hours per minute. Not too bad. When you move on from that always on display, once you have your phone fully charged, we have an optical under display fingerprint sensor over here, which works pretty well, though it is really low down compared to the Asus ROG on the right hand side over there, though they want you to use the phone in landscape, so I guess then it kind of makes more sense. When comparing speed to the ROG 3 over here, you can see the Lenovo Legion is actually a little bit faster, though we are lacking facial recognition, and that is because we have a pop-up side-mounted, yes, you heard right, side-mounted pop-up selfie camera. So that doesn't pop up to recognize your face for Face ID, which kind of sucks, but if you do drop your phone, it does detect it and it pulls the camera system back in. They want you to use the phone in landscape mode, though when you put it in auto rotate, it goes to portrait mode when you face it that way, but you're either stuck to auto rotate or landscape. You can't just lock portrait mode, which really sucks. We have a couple awesome themes, though I prefer the stock Android looking theme over here. We're running ZUI 12 skinned over Android 10. The Lenovo Z6 Pro took almost a year to get Android 10, so don't expect many upgrades when it comes to the Legion Pro. Hopefully they improve this. The software feels really awesome. They have a couple awesome little features, and yes, we do have Google and we have access to the Play Store, so no need to worry about that. We have dual X linear motors, which comes to vibrations, but the haptics honestly don't feel the best, but they're still pretty decent for a gaming smartphone compared to others, though I wouldn't say quite as good as the Asus ROG Phone 3. We also have semi-real vibration, but that is lacking when it comes to the apps department. We have the Lenovo Realm over here, where you can change a bunch of settings in game. We'll get to that in a second. We also have touch triggers, which is awesome, and when you hold them down, you go to the Lenovo Realm gaming center over here, which looks really cool, but we're stuck to just 2 inputs, unlike the 4 on the ROG. We also have peripherals mode, hooking up a keyboard and mouse, and you can stream it straight to your external monitor, which is great. I'll get to that in the future. We also have incredible stereo dual sounding speakers, so let's go have a listen. Those sound absolutely incredible, and when you go into a game such as Call of Duty Mobile, you'll see that pulling down from the top, you get that Lenovo Legion Realm, and there's a couple different settings, such as back recording your last couple minutes of gaming. You can also move your little touch buttons around on the screen, and you also have a virtual analog stick when you move the motion of your phone, which is great. But we have the streaming feature, which looks really awesome. I really want to test this out, and to record your screen, you just have to hold down the power button and the volume up key, which is awesome. I'm currently using the streamer function playing Call of Duty Mobile on the Lenovo Legion, and there are a couple different functions that we can do. So I can actually remove my background just with a little tap over here. Kind of makes me blend into the background, which is quite cool. And now there's another one where you can obviously turn that off, and then you can kind of just fade me out there, so I'm actually in the background instead of in the foreground. So let me know what you guys think of the sound quality of this as well. as the video quality too, and the feature overall. The mic quality didn't sound the best, but the worst thing is that we're stuck to HD, which is 720p, though of course you can change your screen recording app and use an external one. First game that we're going to test out here is Call of Duty Mobile. We have a 60 FPS cap, so even though we're going to be using the 144 Hz mode on the phone, we're stuck to 60. So we're going to go ahead and have a play and listen to those incredible speakers. Next game that we have here is the global version of PUBG Mobile. Once again, we're going to max out the graphics as well as the frames per second, move around our sim touch buttons over here so that we can use those wonderful air triggers. And of course, once again, we're stuck to 60 FPS since there is a cap on the game itself.
Dead. Expired.
This is Game for Peace, the PUBG version in China. Once again, max settings. So there it is at the top, 90 frames per second, absolutely amazing. I've had no issues whatsoever with the touch triggers other than them being too deep in the phone. It's really hard to reach when gaming on the fly. Next game we have here is Bullet Force, which has no FPS cap. Though we're sitting at 90 frames per second, putting it in Rampage mode gets it up to around 125 FPS, which kind of sucks since it's a 144 Hz display on this phone, and the Red Magic 5G could hit over 144. Next game we have here is Dead Trigger 2. Once again, no FPS cap over here, ultra high graphics. We're sitting at around 125 FPS again. Putting on Rampage doesn't change that at all. Once again, the Red Magic 5G could perform at over 144 Hz in this game. Gaming cannot always test out the most when it comes to performance of a phone, so we're going to run a couple benchmarks starting with AnTuTu over here. As you can see, we're rocking that Snapdragon 865 Plus processing chip. Here's the battery details as well as the CPU in degrees Celsius at the start of the test. We'll compare this at the end. We've enabled Rampage mode here to try push a very high score in AnTuTu version 8.4.3 using the Lenovo Legion Pro. Here are the results when it comes to battery drain. -5%, same as the ROG. Battery degrees in Celsius got quite hot at 41.2 degrees Celsius, but only added 5.7 degrees Celsius, which is a bit cooler than that of the ROG. And in CPU, the Legion phone added 7 degrees in Celsius, where the ROG Phone 3 only added 621,000 for the Lenovo Legion. 6.3% better than the average Snapdragon 865 powered smartphone. So I guess you could say the Lenovo is about 1% better than the ROG Phone 3. Now we're going to run Geekbench version 5, doing a CPU single and multi-core test, all on Rampage mode, OpenCL test, and Vulkan test. For single core, it got 984 points, which is quite a bit better than the ROG phone, which got 918 points. Multi-core, 3,358. Once again, better than the ROG phone, OpenCL API. Unfortunately, it didn't beat that of the ROG Phone 3. The ROG phone beat it a little bit more, got a slightly higher score. Vulkan GPU API over here, we got over 4,000 points, about 100 more than that of the ROG Phone 3, and it performed almost 22% better than the vanilla Snapdragon 865. Yes, I know this phone seems like it's all about gaming, but we do have that pop-up selfie camera. Remember, 20 megapixels over here. Unfortunately, no stabilization when it comes to video. Using half bokeh, it looks great. Pretty much no edge detection, even with full bokeh. The phone is completely capped at 1080p and 30 frames per second while using the selfie camera. Let me know what you think of the audio and video quality of the Legion's selfie cam. Of course, we have those back cameras as well. We're just limited to 2 over here. 64 megapixel Sony IMX686 sensor, and we have an ultra wide secondary sensor at 16 megapixels. Unfortunately, video is capped at 30 FPS. The ultra wide looks absolutely fantastic for a gaming phone. 64 megapixel Sony IMX looks pretty decent, pretty much as all other phones do. 16 megapixel bin, which is using 4:1 binning, looks great. But as soon as you go into zoom 2 times, 5 times, or 8 times, which is the max zoom, looks absolutely terrible, just as we experienced on the ROG phone iPhone 3, though using the regular bokeh effect that you have within the phone, it looks absolutely great. And we don't have a macro sensor as you see on the ROG, but it looks even better in my opinion. When it comes to video, as I mentioned earlier, we're stuck to 30 FPS, which is really terrible for a Snapdragon 865 phone, let alone an 865 Plus smartphone. We do have EIS over here, electronic image stabilization. 4K is also capped to 30. It still looks pretty great. It is quite jittery though. Ultra wide, once again, stuck on 30 FPS. The ROG phone can go all the way up to 8K and hold 4K 60 FPS perfectly fine. So that's a big deal breaker for me when it comes to the Legion Pro gaming smartphone. We do also have this strange mode here called dual video, where you can shoot with the selfie cam and the back cam. You can switch them on the fly while you're recording. I guess it's kind of cool. I'm just not sure when I'd use this. We have no stabilization mode within the actual camera user interface. Though we're stuck to 30 FPS, things don't look great with the regular camera, but ultra wide doesn't look too bad. It almost puts in like a natural stabilization mode. The Lenovo Legion Pro gaming smartphone is definitely unique. It is very stylish, as they say on the outside, and it is quite savage on the inside, though a few things hold it back. It doesn't quite meet my expectations when it comes to gaming performance, though it still has a wonderful 144Hz display. That strange pop-up selfie cam landscape mode, I would have loved to have a locked-on portrait mode option on the phone. Hopefully we get this in a software update, but when are we going to get software updates from companies such as Lenovo? Though it might stand on its own 2 feet when viewing it alone, but it does have some pretty hefty competitors out there. It's really hard for me to recommend the Legion phone against any other gaming smartphone currently on the market, besides for that attractive price tag. This might not be the best gaming phone of 2020, but it comes really close.